Hello everybody, this is Ark on the Hill, and today we're going to discuss food, the different storage options, expiration dates, and how it's not as expensive as you think it is to actually put food away, because you've got most of it in your pantry already. So initially, let's talk about stuff like this. Macaroni is very shelf stable. The only real bad part to it is it comes in a cardboard box that's open to the air. So over time, oxygen and moisture and things like that can get inside. Plus, it's not very pest proof. So while it is shelf stable, the expiration date on them, which, let's go over that first. Let's go over expiration dates. Expiration dates are a thing that is a guide, especially when it comes to canned foods and things like that. They can go well beyond their expiration date and still be good and still be fine, still have all their nutrients and things like that. It's a case-by-case basis. So if you have a can that's been sitting around for, like, say 6 years, you can still open it up, give it a smell. If it smells good, heat it up. Make sure you heat it up good, to at least 165 for like a minute or two, or to a direct boil for a few minutes. And you should be fine. Unless you see mold, a lot of times things that will cause, especially canned foods, to go bad is damage to the container. Here, we'll talk about more about this later. But like, this can has a very slight dent in it here. I don't think that damaged the coating on the inside of the can, but if it has, like this one, I wouldn't leave for real long-term storage. Like, this isn't something that I'd leave for years and not think about because of that little ding. Now, if it's perfect, if it's perfectly round, no damage to it at all, especially on the corners and things like that. Because these cans, aluminum cans, are lined, and as long as that lining stays in place, it will protect the aluminum, protect the food from the aluminum. So even if it's acidic, it won't affect it as much because of that lining. But again, like I say, with this one, it's got that little dent, so maybe the lining is broken, but probably not. Either way, I wouldn't leave this for, years on a shelf because of that little dent. Only perfect cans. And then even with that, when I open this up, I'm gonna give it a smell. I smell all my canned foods just because you never know. Visual inspection for mold or for things like that. If a can starts to expand, like if you see the top of it bowing out, it definitely means there's something nasty inside there, and you don't want it. So keep an eye on your cans. They're very good for long term. Expiration dates are a thing that the government puts on there to keep you down. No, I'm kidding. They keep you safe in case. It's a guideline, though, not like necessarily if it is beyond this date, it is no longer good. And that goes for a lot of stuff. For instance, this is a big old box of premium mashed potatoes. Now, the expiration date on this, it isn't actually an expiration date. It's what a lot of companies are going with now, which is best before. And this one is October of 2025. A way of making this last longer is to take it out of this container, which, while it's airtight, rodents can get into it, things like that. You take it and you put it into something more like this. So this is a mason jar. I put not all, 90% of my stuff that I put away for long term goes into one of these. And then I use one of these, which this little guy, really cool. Again, not expensive to start doing this. It was $30. Stick it on the top, you hit a button, pulls all the air out. Because the biggest enemy to your food is sunlight, moisture, oxygen, and rodents. This takes care of all of those things except for sunlight. Temperature's another one. But if you're putting things away, if your house gets over 100 degrees, you're uncomfortable anyways. So you want to keep that. Another one is I have a food saver. They're not super cheap, but they're not expensive. But they allow you to do this to a lot of things that otherwise would start to go stale. What causes things to go stale is the lack of moisture. These are dried, but still that exchange of air, that oxygen and moisture that could get in here because the humidity in your house changes a lot throughout the year. So doing this makes it so that oxygen can't get to it, that moisture can't get to it. So it vastly extends the shelf life of these without you having to worry about anything. But again, this won't protect against rodents. So you got to make sure you're putting this inside something that a rodent isn't going to necessarily try to get into. Rodents are drawn to smell. So if you are putting all of your stuff inside of other things that stop smell, stop that air exchange, the rodents shouldn't be pulled to it. Shouldn't, because, you know, things are going to do what they're going to do. Life is going to find a way. But to get back to this, this was $1. This is expired. I'm making this for dinner. I'm going to take this and throw some spices and some more cheese into it and some meat into it and some broccoli into it and make it into what I call a ghetto gourmet meal. So, yeah, this has been expired since like December, but it's still good. Still good. Be good for a while, even if you didn't do anything else to it. This is a Mylar bag. Also, this is a really good company if you're looking for things for hiking, camping, or long-term storage. Peak Refuel is really good. I have not had a bad dish from them, and they have a lot of range when it comes to food. Everything from goulash to, we have bhat here. If you don't know what bhat is, look it up. It's a really good Indian dish. They do a really good job, and they are not super expensive. They're more on the pricey side than like Mountain House or a few other companies that I won't mention. But the thing that makes these guys great is when they say something is like, if it's beef goulash, it has actual beef in it. It has actual protein in it. And that's important, especially if you're talking about long-term survival. You want to make sure that the things you're getting actually have the things in them they say. If you're not a meat eater, you know, that's great. I have a very good long-term friend who I was just talking to the other day. And I was talking to her about how I asked her if she had any kimchi at her house. And she said, no, she loves kimchi. I was like, well, why not? So, you know, it's about adjusting what you need and finding a way to do it. If you don't eat meat, if you don't eat that protein, beans and rice, like especially like black beans, are literally full protein. So vegan or not, vegetarian or not, having beans and rice in your house gives you that full protein. It'll give you that nutrients that you need. Might not be the most tasty thing ever, but it's calories and it's protein, and that's what you need to survive. Micronutrients and vitamins and things like that, that's a whole nother video. We won't get into that in this one, or I'll be here for 3 hours. But let's talk about things that you can get in the store. I want to touch on this. This is great. It's amazing, tasty stuff. This is not good for long-term storage. I would be more inclined to follow the best by or expiration date on this than I would this, because this isn't permeable. Plastic is permeable. Also, this, if it gets sunlight on it, that will, because it's clear, just like, you know, even with your glass, if you get sun on it, it's gonna degrade. But this is a plastic jar, so I will use this before I use something that's in a glass jar, because glass is not permeable, and so things can't get in and out. Say your house gets flooded and all your stuff is downstairs. If it's been sitting in that flood water for a while, I wouldn't consume this because you don't know what's gotten through it. Again, you can smell it, you can, boil it off really good, but plastic isn't the best. Plastic isn't the best for long term. When you talk about long term storage, you want glass, you want metal. Glass is literally the best. I can't say enough. There's a reason that mason jars have been used for canning for, ever. It's because glass is not permeable. Glass is great. It's not perfect. Like I could shatter this, but this on a shelf, as long as it doesn't get any moisture on the top, will be good indefinitely. There is no expiration date on this. This is apple butter that we put away in 2023. I would pick this up 20 years from now, pop the lid off, and if it still smells good, there's no mold or anything on it, it's consumable. I will sing the praises of glass all day. There are some downsides to glass. It's heavy. It's breakable. So if you're in a bug out situation where you need to get out, this is better. But if you're taking your vehicle, or if you're a big, strong, hunking guy like me, I throw the glass mason jars in my bag when I'm on the road and I want to take my food with me. I load up on mason jars because this is single use. The mason jar I can bring home, wash, and reuse again, put more into it. And this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. This is something that I would take to work with me. This is something if I had to bug out, if I had to get out of here, most of my stuff is in these and they're in the boxes that they came in. I have one over there, but I'm not going to pull it over here. So it's just a matter of picking this up and putting it in the truck to take with me because it's worth it. This is a day's worth of food. I don't know if this is 2,000 calories. It's probably close, but this will get you through a day with no problem. And all you're doing is putting hot water into it. So if you have a way of boiling your water, this is a hot, tasty meal. This is my chicken and mushroom Alfredo from, this isn't even that old. This is from last year. And I can't tell you, if you're having a hard day, you're wet, you're bedraggled, or even you've gone through a hard work day, throwing a little bit of hot water in this, mixing it up, giving it like 2 minutes to hydrate. And because I've pre-seasoned this is something I made. With these that you're getting, you're going to need to season them unless you don't mind bland food, because of course this is made for the masses, so they can't put a lot of seasoning into it. But this is perfectly seasoned. I throw water into this and I eat this, and it's so comforting. Like, this is the ultimate comfort food for on the road. We do other things. This is my latest. This is actually a mix of two different ones because this was the leftovers from the big old batch of garlic. This is garlic. This is freeze-dried garlic, vacuum sealed in here. This will literally last indefinitely. As long as moisture and air doesn't get into it, it's not going to lose any of its potency. It's not going to lose any of its nutritional value. So 30 years from now, if you come to my house and everybody's gone, or we're still here even, I could pop this open and it'll taste like it did today. Another great thing, and I may end up doing a whole other video for mason jar stuff. This is just a thing that I've started doing when I find something I really enjoy. Now this is this. I love these. They're a very good cinnamon. I won't like drone on too long about it, but this is a really good, like, really good licorice. And I don't know, I can't always find it. Now this comes in, they call this a retort. No, the retort is the one that they do when they're cooking it in the bag. So this would just be a standard Mylar. And as long as there's no air coming out of it, this would be fine on its own. But again, mice can chew through this and you can kind of smell through it. Like if you've got a really good nose, Temba, my dog, knows that this is cinnamon licorice. But this can't be chewed through. Like you got to have, can't be chewed through. So this is how I long-term storage. And I have, we ordered from licorice.com for Christmas, and I got a bunch of stuff. And I found that there was no way I was going to eat it all, and I was worried about it going stale, and it's little tubes that it comes in. So I dumped it into big old jars like this, vacuum sealed it. Again, 30 years from now, as long as the temperature hasn't gone up too high and direct sunlight hasn't hit this, and water hasn't pooled on the top and rusted the lid out, tasty is the day I put it in here. So, taking things like this, putting it in things like this, makes it last longer. You can literally go to the store, now that we're back on track for like how it's not expensive. I try to have the mindset of 2 is 1, 1 is none. When it comes to, especially in the winter, we try to have, if it's something we use all the time, we try to have 2 of it in here. Dog food, cat food, because you got to think of your pets too. Anything that we super enjoy, we have multiples of it. That way, if we can't get to the store, we don't want to go to the store, because that's another thing you got to think about. Preparedness isn't about, end of the world as we know it kind of stuff. It's about, I had a bad week. I don't want to go to the store. I can go down cellar and pull out this. I'm prepared for that mental health day of not wanting to go to the store. Or for that snowstorm or ice storm like we got the other day, which I should take a picture of a short and show you my driveway behind the house. It's literally, you could ice skate out there. It's literally a sheet of ice. So having that stuff in here is comforting. Having that food there, you're able to sustain yourself long-term, short-term. But the American pantry isn't what it used to be. When I was a kid, there was pickles and olives and canned foods galore. Everything you could imagine came in cans. And I meant to grab Keystone is a company from Pennsylvania, and they do meat. And the cans of meat are 2 ingredients, the meat and some sea salt, like a little tablet of sea salt. I found them on how it's made and saw the way that they did it, and really impressed me. So I went looking for it. You can get it at most Walmarts. I think all Walmarts. It's a little pricey, but again, it's a can of food that will sit there for a long time. And when you open it up, it's still a can of meat that you can then add to your rice and beans if you need to make it even tastier, or just rice. Rice is a great staple. It's very shelf stable. It's going to last for a long time. Noodles the same way. Noodles are a little bit harder to store than rice because they have so much air in the noodle. But again, putting it in something like this, or if you have the shorter stuff, putting it in, this is rings, because I found that I started using them because I found that they dehydrate the best and rehydrate the best. So the first thing that I did was I made my own version of SpaghettiOs. It's so good. It's so good. It's like SpaghettiOs on steroids. It's flavorful. It's spiced properly. I literally made it and had it for dinner and was like, I need to make more of this and freeze dry it. And I did, and it came out amazing. Again, food can be about comfort. This isn't just about calories in your body. It's about helping your mental faculties be well, and helping your emotional self be in a better place. So food plays more of a role than just keeping our bodies running. It keeps us comforted. It keeps us sane sometimes. If you're an emotional eater, you know what I'm talking about. I am. That's why I'm. Anyways. This on its own is empty calories. You cannot survive on this. It's salt, it's flavoring, it's calories. There is very, very, very little nutritional value to this. Adding things to this, however, is one of the best meals you can do. Again, ghetto gourmet over here. I take this, we'll put egg in it. I'll put meat in it. I'll put veg in it. it makes a good soup. It makes a good actual ramen. The ramen on its own, here in America, we bastardized it. We eat it, just the noodle and the thing and the juice, and that's not how it's meant to be eaten. There is a company out there, and the name escapes me. I might put it in the description. They do freeze-dried ramen toppings, and they're very good. You literally just add the toppings in, it rehydrates, and it makes it so yummy. I think it's Ramen Bay, maybe. I'll have to put it in the description or in a comment below. Because I highly recommend them. They ship their stuff out in Mylar bags. It's shelf stable. It will not stop a cat from getting into it, which I found out, which is why now mine is in, mason jars, so that the cats, because I left some on a counter near the shelving unit near the stove, and one of my cats decided that it smelled yummy and ripped it open, and it was all over the place, and it made me very sad. So prime example of why you would want to put things into a more secure storage thing. Again, this is $30 off from Amazon. You could probably find it cheaper. This removes the air from the jar. There are better ways to do it. I have a food saver, which is how I do this. It has an attachment to it that pulls more of a vacuum than this does. So it's a stronger pump. So when I put things away for extended times, I use that because it pulls more of a vacuum, gets more of the oxygen and air out. Because again, oxygen is what will rob your food of nutrients. So pulling all of it that you can. But like with the garlic, this one's actually out of our pantry. I added to it, but this was originally in 2023 that we did the first time that we did raw garlic. And I just added to it, but we'll draw it out with this because it's just in the pantry and we're going to open it up. If you go this route, I highly recommend getting one of the little opener things so you don't damage the lids, because I've damaged the lid before trying to pull it off. And I couldn't get it with my fingers, so I used a knife, and it ended up dinging the edge of it and made it so that it wouldn't hold a seal. So being able to reuse the lid's very happy, very helpful. So getting one of the little jammies, good idea. Very cheap online. The one I got's really cool. It's a tiny little thing. It's got a magnet in it, so it's on the refrigerator. It's got a magnet in the other side, so it holds the lid when you pull the lid off, like the lid stays with it. Very useful. What else do we want to cover today? Canning. I'm not going to do a lot of videos on canning because there's a lot of information out there already. So if you look up YouTube videos on canning, they'll run you through a lot more of the science and whatnot. If I did it, it'd be really long because I'd get into the science and get lost in the science and the different acidities and things like that. And I don't think I want to go down that rabbit hole with you guys because it'd be extensive and long and yeah. But pickles, we grew hot peppers 2 years ago, and we pickled a bunch of them, and they're so good. There's nothing more satisfying than popping something open that you've created and you've put away, and you pop it open, you're eating it, and you're like, I did this. Like there's that satisfaction. Everybody should do it. Even if you only have a little apartment in New York City, you can get stuff and throw together some kimchi and can it, or throw together some tomato sauce like that tastes really good to you and can it. Have that put away. Your pantry is a good place to start when it comes to being prepared, because you're not trying to be me. You're not trying to have a year's worth of food in your basement. Not that I do. I totally do. But you can do it at the grocery store by just picking up a couple extra things every time you go. Have 2 of something you really like. That way, if you don't feel like going to the store, or you can't get to the store, or the store is empty, you have it. Because that's what being prepared is about. It's not necessarily the world has come to an end. I'm going to keep saying that, so get used to it. A lot of people think that prepping is just about the world has come to an end and zombies, and no. Being prepared is about, it's raining really hard and I don't want to go to my car today to go to the store, or I don't feel good, I'm sick, and I can't go to the store because I don't feel up to it, but I still have the stuff I need to cook. And I don't have to have somebody come deliver it and I'm going to get them sick because, you don't need that. It's about my driveway has a 1-inch sheet of ice on it and I can't get down it. Well, I've still got the food and things I want to eat. It's about a freak storm went through and flooded my area, and it's going to be a week or two before I can get to the store and before the store has anything on its shelves. I have everything I need. So starting out in your pantry with just the things you use all the time is a good place. It's literally the best place because it gives you that idea of how and what to do. Start with a week. Make sure that you have a week worth of non-perishable food in your house. I'm not talking about what you've got in your freezer and your refrigerator, because if the power goes out, you're going to have to use that really fast so that it doesn't go bad. I'm talking about things that you don't need to refrigerate. I'm talking about things that you can pop open with a can opener and eat if you can't heat it. I'm talking about things that if you needed to go somewhere else, you could pack into a bag or a box and take with you. Things don't need to be prepared. This is good stuff. I love Peak. I have a lot of Peak here. They have a really good breakfast scramble that I haven't been able to recreate and freeze dry myself, so I just use theirs. Talking about food prices and things like that, putting things away. I have eggs that when I first got the freeze dryer, I did just to see if I could do it. I have literally jars of freeze dried eggs downstairs. Egg prices have gone up 4-fold in my area, and in other areas it's over like $10 for a dozen. So that couple bucks that I spent on that entire load, because I got a 3 dozens or something like that from Sam's, and then put them in, freeze dried them. So maybe the whole thing was like $6-7 for the 3 dozen. Now it's worth who knows how much, because I did it when the prices were low and now prices are higher. So things that you put away is like an investment in your future, because prices aren't going to go down. Inflation and everything keeps going up. If you look at prices from 1970 and now, you're not going to get back there. There's no way prices are going to go the opposite way. Everything keeps getting more expensive. So the more things you have put away, the more money you're saving yourself down the line as well. Especially if it can last you for a long time. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them below or reach out to me. This is just video 1. This is just going over some of this stuff. There's going to be more. Like, we're going to talk about whole proteins. We're going to talk about what to put away in mason jars. We're going to talk about the pros and cons between Mylar bags and cans and jars and things like that. That way you have a better idea of what suits you best. So there's more videos on food coming. We're going to talk about nutrition a little bit and all of that. So get yourself one of these, get yourself a mason jar, get yourself some stuff that you want to have and you don't want rodents to get into, and just play around with it. Have fun with it. But use stuff that you already will use. That way, you know when you go to use it, it's something you want. All right. Well, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and remember to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.